Hi and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time it's Bombjack 2. Bombjack 2 isn't an arcade conversion like the original Bombjack game. It's simply a home-only game, I guess because Elite wanted to get the most out of the Bombjack license. So it takes the Bombjack character, but it's a completely new game. So I guess the best way to start this is to start looking at the game itself. So we're here on the Spectrum. You can see it's a fantasy setting. You can see space and dragons and things, which sets the tone for this really. Lots of colours here on the menu screen. It's a 48K game, no music if you're on the 128K, and off we go. It's a little bit different to the original Bombjack in that you're jumping between the platforms. You're not actually flying. If you recall Bombjack 1, you press fire and you fly up to the top of the screen. You have gravity that allows you to fall down. In this, you can just jump any distance you like between the platforms, but you're not actually flying per se. So you always have to have a platform either to the side or above or below you. So there we go. We have to, on this level, it's Stonehenge level. You push the baddies off the platforms and collect gold. A little bit tricky. Lost another life there, and just, yeah, there we go. Just jumping across, collecting the bags. If you collect them in a certain order that is revealed to you, you'll see them. Some of the, you can't see it on this version actually, they're not flashing. If you collect the piles of gold in the right order, you get more points. If you collect just the bags, you get less points, and you can see it counts up how many piles of gold you've got at the end of each level. Each level is fairly short-lived. If you take too long, the baddies become more aggressive. So moving across the Amstrad CPC, and these two versions are quite similar, so that's why I'm not dwelling on the Spectrum version. Colourful loading screen. No music on the menu screen, but lots and lots of colours, even more than the Spectrum version. Very impressive, almost demo-like effect here. And lovely Mode 0 graphics here on the Amstrad. So I'm going to try and do this in the right order. So down to the bottom, pick that pile of gold up. Let's get the positioning right. Jump along there. Can't avoid getting that one there, I don't think. Down. Grab that next one. There. Missed that. Up there. Push it all. The baddies if the baddies transform, they become stronger, so you have to watch out for that. Jump down there. Jump across. Hopefully push that baddie off the end. You've only got a certain amount of power to push the baddies off the platforms to kill them. And if they transform, they become stronger, so you've got to be very aware of that. Lovely graphics here on level 2 on the outside, Stonehenge. And this looks fantastic on a CPC monitor with the colours slightly blending into each other. It's a little bit unforgiving here on the capture. But just imagine those oranges and reds blending in and how good that would look on a CRT. No music during the game here on the Amstrad, just sound effects. Gameplay wise, it's very similar to the Spectrum. I suspect, graphics aside, they share a lot of code between them due to the Z80 processors. The graphs on the left show how much power you have to push off the baddies off the platforms. It's very confusing as to what those bars do. If you jump up there and try and push that baddie off, you can see the top bar, it makes sense what it's doing, but there's these bottom bars, and different ones seem to change at different times. It's not very clear what you're actually doing. Level 3 is a little bit difficult because you're moving quite fast and the baddies are running around with these knives. So you've just got to avoid them and just get all of the bags of gold. And there we go. It's a faster paced game than Bombjack 1. I've just skipped this on to a little bit further in the game. One thing I noticed on the CPC version and some of the other versions as well is the backgrounds are reused. There's only so many backgrounds. I think there's 5 or 6 backgrounds. You'll see the Sydney Opera House being used again. I guess that's memory limitations. As a level moves on, you get these longer platforms and these different spacings between the platforms. So you really got to think about where you're jumping to, because you might think you're able to jump onto a certain platform, and actually it won't have lined up exactly right, so something to watch out for. On to C64, and we have got some music finally on the menu screen. Selecting joystick, and there is a 2-player option as well. Now, this music is sounding a little bit familiar. And any fans of Thundercats, or anyone who's played the Thundercats game, will certainly recognise it. It's the Thundercats theme. Why on earth have Elite used the music from Thundercats, another Elite game, on bombjack 2? I'm guessing they just, for whatever reason, they ran out of time or budget or whatever and thought, oh no, we'll just stick the Thundercats theme on there. Nobody will notice. Okay, the music suits the game quite well, but at the end of the day, it's the theme tune to a really well-known kids' TV show, and it's a little bit distracting. The backgrounds are in a different order from the Spectrum and Amstrad version. Some of them are slightly more simplified. As we saw in level 1 there, you didn't have all the graphics in the Amstrad and Spectrum versions. The C64 game feels like a game that's unfinished, if I'm honest. The Thundercats theme, what's it doing there? Again, on level 3 now, we've got this incredibly bleak background, none of this idea of travelling the globe as you do on the Amstrad and Spectrum versions. I think this game is unfinished. Now, surprisingly, bombjack 2 was also released on the Commodore 16, and we'll have a quick look at that. Obviously a very cut-down game. bombjack 1 played quite well on the C16. bombjack 2, however, doesn't flow quite as well. I've just played the two games back-to-back. bombjack 1 feels like bombjack. It's a really good port, actually. bombjack 2, however, feels like a very simplified version of the games we've seen on the Spectrum, Commodore and Amstrad. And the movement is slow and jerky on the main character, which is slightly distracting. If you had a C16, well, it was a new game to play, and yes, you could get by with it, but certainly, compared to the other 3 versions, it's a very lacking game. So, is bombjack 2 a shameless cash-in by Elite on the bombjack name to get the most out of the licence? Well, on the Spectrum and Amstrad, no, they're both really good standalone games. The Amstrad version really colourful, the graphics are nice, the sprite animation is good, it feels like a bombjack game. It's an improvement perhaps on the original Amstrad version of the game. Again, on the Spectrum version is not quite as good as the Amstrad version, but it still plays pretty well. The Commodore 64 version, I'm afraid that's an unfinished game. The giveaway is the Thundercats theme, and I think those rather bleak and lacking backgrounds. It needs a couple of more weeks of programming to bring it up to scratch. Something must have gone wrong in development. They've rushed it out because they had to get it out in time, and it's not finished. It's Commodore 16 version. Well, if you've got a C16, you might as well get it out and play. Just be aware it is a very lacking game compared to the Spectrum and Amstrad versions, and it's also a lacking game compared to bombjack 1. In fact, I would say, if you've got a C16 or plus 4, just play bombjack 1. On the Spectrum and Amstrad, good game, plays well, looks nice, is definitely worth a play.